All right, let's go over subject-verb agreement and compound subjects. This one has actually a lot to cover in it, so let's get started. This relates to M.3, which is kind of a continuation of M.1, which was all about subject-verb agreement, which is pretty challenging in and of itself. Main concept is that this doesn't sound right. And why doesn't it sound right? Well, because the subject of this sentence, the thing doing the action, is the boy. And what's the action he's doing? He's throwing. Okay, but these don't match. The boy is singular, throw is plural, as in the boys throw the ball. When you have more than one boy, a plural subject, you'd use the plural verb. So you have to correct this. Okay. Compound subjects refers to a sentence in which you have a slightly more complex subject. Because we know that this was still the verb, but what's the subject? Is it the boy? Is it girl? Is it both? The answer is both. Just like a compound word would be just put together, homework makes homework. Compound subjects do the same thing. Even though it's boy and girl, we're going to put that all together into one subject, the boy and girl. And in this case, you're trying to figure out whether to put throws or throw. Okay. And there are lots of specific rules here. And so I'll try to make it as simple as possible. One way you can make a compound is by adding the word and. And if you do and, you're saying that both throw the ball. And it just sounds right if you use both to use throw, because it's plural. And that makes sense. It's more than one person throwing a ball, so you'd use the plural. The boys throw the ball, no, the boy and girl throw the ball. However, let's see if I can think of one. Let's make it simpler. Okay, either ice cream or cake is at the party. So the question is, should we use are at the party? Or is at the party? So in this example, we're using a different conjunction. We're using or. And that changes things because now we're not saying both are at the party. We're saying one of them. And so in this example, you wouldn't say one are at the party. You'd say one is at the party, right? Okay, so that's kind of your basics. If you see and, you know it's going to be plural. If you see or, you know it's going to be singular. And by the way, or could be replaced very easily with nor, right? So or nor both work. Okay. So that's rule number one. Peanut butter and microwavable popcorn often contains. So we have and. Let's just replace this whole compound subject with both. Both often contains. Well, no, both often contain. Okay. Pollution and disease was to blame. So we have and. Let's just replace it with both was to blame or both were to blame. Well, were is plural. Okay, so we want to, that's plural, they match. This compound subject is plural. This verb is plural, so we're good. Neither Alaska nor Florida. Okay, so here's our first or nor one. Only one. Neither Alaska nor Florida. So one. A state come. One has a state income, one have a state income tax. One has. Okay. Every platter of roasted chicken and grilled ribs. This one's a little bit more challenging. What is the subject here? Is it roasted chicken? Is it grilled ribs? Is it both? It's actually platter. Which brings me to a couple of exceptions. Let's talk about them. How about this? Every, each, and there's a weird one, many a. Let's use these in sentences. Every throw and catch was amazing. Talking about football or something. Would you use was or were? And this one's kind of counterintuitive. You have throw and catch. That's plural, right? So you'd make it were. Let's add single. Maybe that makes it look a little bit less, a little bit more obvious to you. This would be was. This is singular, or is. This needs to be singular because we have the word every. This is implying that it's a single thing. A throw and catch is amazing. Okay, and we can take that same principle and use these other words the same way. Each throw and catch is amazing. Many a throw and catch is amazing. This is kind of old school. I don't know anybody who still says this, but follows the same principle. Even though it has and, when we have many, each, or every, we know it's singular. And that actually makes a lot of sense in this example. Every platter were instantly devoured? No, every platter was instantly devoured. Okay. Oh, this is challenging. Either the brownies or the carrot cake. Oh, wow. So this is testing a lot. So first we see either or. So we know it's single. It's one or the other. But the challenge here is that one of those is plural. And so let's talk about that. Okay, so here we have either and or, right? So we should use is because it's singular. But the problem here is that the second thing is parents. So if you say this out loud, either my sister or my parents is coming. That makes no sense at all. It just sounds so awkward that we're going to allow this. So I know this is a lot to remember. It's one of the reasons why this one's so difficult. So far we've learned and or. It's plural, that's singular. But sometimes this isn't singular. It's not singular when the second thing is plural, right? When the thing closest to the verb is plural itself, cake's parents, you do need to make it plural. Okay. We also learned the exception of every, each, and many. And there are actually a couple more exceptions we're going to need to learn. Okay. So either the brownies or the carrot cake need. Okay, and then this on top of that has a question. So if we rearrange this, either the brownies or the carrot cake do need. Okay. We're going to come back to that one. The Star Ruby grapefruit and the Rio Red grapefruit was created. Okay, this is a simple one. blank and blank both were created. That last example, I wish that would have been nearer to the end. Either Pemaquid, I think that's right, Point Lighthouse, or Owl's Head Lighthouse. So we have either or, that's basically one or the other is. Okay. Are neither basil nor rosemary. Okay, here's a good example. I wish we would have gotten this one before that last one. Neither basil nor rosemary. So what's the verb? Is or are. Because it's a question, that verb is coming at the beginning. And so here we would have is. If this wasn't a question, you'd be saying neither basil nor rosemary is in this dish. But because it's a question, that is coming at the beginning. Is neither basil nor rosemary in this dish? That's one that a lot of people would not do right because it just doesn't sound natural. Is neither the teaching assistant's nor your tutor. Same thing, but the verb is closest to this one here, and this one's plural. And remember our rule here. Normally with either or, you'd do a singular. In case the part of the compound subject that's closest to the verb is plural. And in this case, we have the compound subject, which is the teaching assistant's nor your tutor. But the part of the compound that's closest to the verb is plural. So we're going to make this one plural too. Our tour of Richmond led us down Monument Avenue, where every statue and monument, so we have statue and monument, that's plural, but we have the word every, okay? And every implies singular. Okay. The goose, okay, and here's our last exception. We're running out of time, so I'll try to make it as quick as I can. You may remember from one of the other lessons we did that if I say George Washington, the first president, was cool. This middle stuff is unnecessary. I could get rid of that and it would still make sense. George Washington was cool. This is called an appositive or an interrupter. This is something that's coming in the middle of a sentence, and when it's surrounded by commas, it's not necessary. You can skip over it if you needed to. So in this sentence, we have that same concept, and you don't want to be distracted by this stuff. Because it's not necessary, you're going to conjugate this verb based on the subject here. The goose learned to migrate or learns to migrate? And it would be learn or learns to migrate. Okay. Neither toxic air pollutants nor, okay, so we have neither nor, so it's singular, and the thing closest to the verb is a singular as well. So we'll do that. Okay. During meditation, each, okay, so this is singular, one provides. Okay. For his latest web video, self-proclaimed daring reporter Philip Vega, together with a professional. Okay, so we'll take away together with a professional. Philip Vega is planning or are planning? Well, is planning. Are the Chandra X-ray Observatory or the Hubble Space Telescope? Okay, so this is either or, it's a is thing, and the thing closest to the verb is singular. So we're going to do that. One more. Andrew Young plus many others, so we'll get rid of all that. Andrew Young was influential. All right. Sorry if this one was a lot to handle. Frankly, it's a lot to try to teach in 15 minutes. Try to watch this over again if you need to. Again, the main concepts I think I've put here for you, though. So recap all this. Boy and girl would be plural. Either or is singular unless the thing closest to the verb in question is plural, whether that's at the beginning or end, and then appositives. Let me know about questions, okay?